Good morning, it's Jonathan Barrett with the Week Ahead report, the War Report, a report where we talk about what are the up-and-coming events for this week, which will obviously move and shake the market. So quite an eventful weekend, obviously big concerns in in Egypt. As a result of that, we've seen quite a bit of volatility. A lot of volatility certainly for the oil market and the gold market, where we seem to see a little bit of a bounce there, but we'll go into that a little bit later. First of all, let's have a little bit of a recap as to what's happened over the last trading session, just so it gets sets our mind as to what's actually going to occur over the coming week. Okay, first of all, let's have a look at just a bit of an overview as to what the equity markets did. The Dow was down 166 points, quite bearish there. The S&P was down 23, the Nasdaq was off 68. Having a look over to Europe, Eurex, the top 50 was down 35, FTSE was down 83, the CAC was down 57, the DAX down 52. As you can see, pretty negative across the board when you look at it. SPY 200 was down 49 points at 4,708, and that certainly suggests that we are stuck in a range there and testing the lower end of the range. Let's have a look at some of the other markets that certainly traded. And I think that in itself would be quite interesting if we just pull that chart up there. I guess first of all, as we always look, we look at the crude market and see what's happened there with the crude. Because I think that in itself is quite steady. It had a huge move last night, and as you can see there, that's purely on the back of a Middle Eastern premium that has slowly been built in as a result of what's happening. There we go. Just have a look at that. As a result of what's happening in Egypt. So now that does put a low in place at 85. Although we still believe we're awash with oil, you can't ignore events like this. And obviously this premium is being built in. So I think you can comfortably the next 24 hours buy dips back to 88 because I think whilst these things start to escalate, there is certainly a concern there that could restrict some of our oil. Okay, so that's crude oil. Having a look at copper, 435.35. Remember, we've got Chinese New Year coming up. As a result of that Chinese New Year coming up, we're seeing a little bit of strength come back to the market. That's pretty standard. That's what we do see normally. Let's see whether or not 440 is a bit tough resistance. And obviously a break back through 430 would be a little bit bearish for it. More importantly, that concerns that we are having across the board are having an effect, obviously, on the dollar. People are actually buying the US dollar at the moment as a result of that, and that puts a bit of a low in place. And as you can see there, a little bit of bounce from that 77 up through 78.27. Chances are, if things start to escalate again, probably see a lift back up through the 79 and 80. How has that affected the Aussie dollar? Well, as you can see, Aussie dollar under pressure there. US dollar slightly firmer. It seems to have broken this little trend, but if it takes out that 98.90 area, or 98.70 to be more precise, then we get a trip down to this low here, 98.40, and if you can see on the daily chart, you can see that really then sends it quite a bit lower. So there it is there, and you can see that comes down to 96 quite quickly. So just keep close on that to see what that US dollar actually does do. Euro, as you can see, quite a bounce there on the euro, a little bit better bid, and just as you can see on the day, it's just come under pressure here. That little indicator there, if it takes down that 80 through here on that stochastic indicator correction is underway, then remember this is a daily chart, back to 34.70 for that little number. Okay, let's have a look at some of the equity markets, and I guess the most important one there is obviously the mini, excuse me, or the Dow. And I think with that fall in equity prices, probably seeing a bit of a realignment here in asset prices, and as a result of that, where we could see things lower. Testing this trend line, it is tried and tested a few times, so a break through that area there does send that lower. Keep an eye on that trend. That trend comes in around about 11,650 at the moment, so another negative night, then down she comes. How will that affect our market? Well, as you can see, the Dow's been moving higher. This is a correction, but our market has been relatively lethargic. As a result of that, we have now broken that trend, and we look forward to lower prices. So we're only 30% in equities at the moment because we feel that things will start to come a little bit lower. So just be careful on that front. Righty-ho, general commodities. Let's kick off with gold. A little bit of a low there on gold. We actually like mined gold. We did mention in the CNBC broadcast on Friday that we expect things to be a little bit higher, and as a result of that, we've seen a trade higher. So, yeah, a little bit of a bounce down there, and onwards and upwards she goes. Silver, the same thing there, as you can see, looking like a little bit of a low there, so we don't mind actually buying gold and or silver at these levels. A little bit of a correction, obviously. Some of the softs, corn, soy and wheat, slight correction there, but overall we still feel we're comfortable there. Yeah, we might see a pullback to the top here, which we've got at 630, maybe a little bit lower for corn, but overall we feel the complex, given what's happening in La Nina, still stays intact. Soybeans and wheat, similar story. However, soybeans are holding up better over them all, and you'll be able to see that we have bounced off quite nicely from those lows. The stochastics do worry me a little bit, and but I think the complex still remains okay. Now, with the war report, let's run through what we got through this week. Some of the most important things. Monday today, very important. Private sector credit in Australia. Treasury publishes monthly economic indicators as well. Vehicle sales in Tokyo, which is going to be quite important. In the States, we've got personal inflation, Chicago Purchasers Managers Index, the National Association of Purchasers Managers Index for Milwaukee, and pretty much the PCE core data there, which I think is obviously something we've got to keep an eye on. Moving across on to Tuesday. NAB confidence and also house price index in Australia. And in the States, we've got the Institute of Supply Management Index, which I think will be quite important there, and obviously also construction spending, ABC consumer confidence and vehicle sales. So that's all good. Wednesday, not a lot of data out there, but obviously we've got the Challenger job cuts in America, MBA mortgage applications, and we obviously see that the housing market remains relatively robust in America at the moment. I guess given it's just very good value. For our Thursday, for Australia, building approvals come out, PMI sales in Europe, and we've got non-farm product activity, factory orders, and initial jobless claims. Now this all leads to the big data of the week, which is the Friday unemployment data, and there we have change in private payrolls, non-farm payrolls, and we're expected a lift there. More importantly, we're expected that rate to actually go a little bit higher. So we are actually factoring in more of a negative outlook rather than positive for this sort of stuff, and as a result of that, we just might get a bit of surprise. Let's hope so anyway. Okay, right, let's get back on track there, and let's see, there we go. So really, I guess that's pretty much about it at the moment. Non-farm payrolls at the end of the week are going to be very important, and we're going to be focusing on the geopolitical concerns, particularly out of Egypt, see any sign that that's going to be spread or it's going to be contained. That is a key. We are factoring that premium in, but once we get some resolution to what could occur in that area, then we'll know and have more of an understanding where crude will go. So keep an eye on that. Obviously, we like gold, we like silver, and if you want to have a look at crude, you can buy on dip, but it's only a short-term trade whilst these domestic concerns in Egypt are array. So that's about it from us. Let's see how it all trades. It should be fun week, and I hope everyone has a good and profitable week.